and what started with a canteen and a pair of boots has now grown to a collection with around 70 mannequins.
First look of this museum, it's something special, it's incredible. Hello everybody, this is WarStory video vlog. I'm Alex and here is Ifo. Hello Ifo.
Hello Alex.
Good to see you here and thank you for your invitation to your private museum. This is something special. Ifo, he's friend of Otto and I had a great time to go around and take a first look of this museum. It's something special, it's incredible. I didn't see the detailed museum of American stuff in United States, even in United States, so I'm excited to show it to you. And can I ask you to make us the tour?
Of course, Alex, you're welcome.
Thank you. Here we go. So, Ifo, could you tell us about your items and about your museum?
Thanks for introducing me, Alex. I think, like a lot of collectors, I started collecting when I was a small guy. At first I had the small Tamiya and raffle stuff to make planes and tanks. But when I first went with a few friends to an army store and I bought my first canteen, I was sold. And with sold, I mean I was into the collecting game, and it never started. Oh, sorry, it never stopped. We're now almost 40 years later, and what started with a canteen and a pair of boots has now grown to a collection with around 70 mannequins. 70, not 17. And my main focus is on World War II items, and then the US Navy, US Marine Corps, and some Air Force.
That's cool. That's very impressive here. And could you tell us about like maybe some highlights from your museum? Because
I started collecting a Navy around 20 years ago when I bought a pair of denim pants at a military show. Interesting part of Navy is Navy was on all the war fronts on this globe in the World War II. They were on the Arctic, on the Pacific, they were in Europe. And to highlight something, here you have a CB officer, and this uniform is what they were wearing at the Aleutians. Maybe you know the Aleutians. The Aleutians is the place from Alaska to Siberia, a place where there is a lot of fishing, and there are some small islands. And the Japanese invaded the Aleutians, and the Americans had a counterattack, and the CBs had a base on the Aleutians. So in my collection you see all kind of clothing the US Navy was wearing on islands in the Pacific, on around D-Day, the Aleutians, and not that much I have in my collection which they were wearing on the ships. So my main focus is on CBs, beach battalions and Navy items which were used on land. Yeah, well, here you can see something interesting. Here are a few mannequins, and this one represents a medic who has all kind of stuff which was used on the beaches. And on this side, you could see a guy with a strange thing on his helmet. A few weeks ago, there was a book published about the beach battalions. And the guys from the beach battalions had special equipment, had special uniforms, which was gas impregnated. And because they had already been in combat in Italy, they had there this kind of uniforms. This is a tanker jacket. And this is a mosquito net, which was used as a helmet camouflage. So I try to collect Navy stuff. And it's often named, and all the items tell a story on themselves. This particular item is named, it's marked with CBs. This is an interesting duffel bag from a CB unit which was active in the Pacific.
But CB unit, what does it mean? Like
That's a good question, Alex. The Seabees were the naval engineers who built on the islands or after innovation airplanes, artificial harbors. They were the Navy engineers. So they were called Seabees, and their name is CB, that is Construction Battalion. So they were the working guys of the Navy on land.
That's very interesting, and not too many people think about guys who build something after the landing operation or prepare the land before the landing operation.
Exactly. A lot of people think of US Navy always in submarines, in battleships, but the Navy, US Navy was one of the biggest fighting forces in World War II, with not only ships, flight carriers, but also with a lot of amphibious units. And that's my point of interest, the amphibious units.
Yeah.
And can you film this guy maybe?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. This is a special guy. It's a medic. I hope you have enough light. Everybody knows the famous photographer Kappa. And Kappa made a lot of pictures around D-Day. And he was on a Coast Guard ship. And he made a picture of a Coast Guard guy with this helmet, not this particular helmet, but a helmet like this, a talker helmet, and fully dressed in special gas suits. The Navy used decontamination suits, gas suits for D-Day, impregnated for the beach battalions, for the D-Day assault. And this corpsman, this medic, has one of those suits.
So many mannequins here, and I understand today we cannot discuss about everybody, but anyway, there are so many interesting characters. So to be highlighted, for example, this guy has war souvenirs. This guy has trophy. This is a bayonet KS-98, like dress one. And can you describe this?
Yeah. Well, as you already told, you were at Otto's place before. And American guys were interested in not only winning the war, but also take a lot of trophies back home. And I have pictures from Navy guys who are around the table just after D-Day, dividing the loot. And a few years ago, I found this bayonet, and I thought it would be interesting to have this bayonet in the hands of a Navy guy to show and bring to his family back in the States.
Do you know estimate number how many US Navy members were involved in D-Day?
Yeah, I think between 80 to 100,000 guys. Not only the ships, the beach battalions, the landing crafts, the LSTs. It must be an enormous operation. Operation Overlord Neptune, the naval part was immense.
And this display is super cool with naval photographers. Could you tell us about them?
Yeah, well, this guy is a medic. And this guy is indeed a photographer. The US Navy had a special unit with combat photographers who landed in the afternoon of D-Day and made a lot of pictures on Utah Beach and on other beaches of the troops advancing into the country. And this is a recreation of one of those photographers with a Graphilex camera.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And also, as a kind of filmmaker, I also interested in those guys because through their glasses, through their cameras, we can see.
We can watch what happened. And what's interesting that he is wearing a blue deck jacket in the collector's market. Deck jackets, especially the blue deck jackets, are very collectible and very difficult to find nowadays. And I was lucky to find a deck jacket not named to a D-Day guy, but named to a guy who worked on a flight carrier in the Pacific.
And about those two medics, are they like specifically for US Navy medics on the ships? They located in hospital?
These two medics were on land. This one represents a naval guy from a beach battalion. And the beach battalion was a special unit who worked on the beaches and built hospitals. And this guy represents a medic who worked on the ships, went to the shore, brought wounded guys back to the ships. And it was an operation of weeks and weeks because there was not a harbor. So everything has to has been brought from the beaches to the ships at sea.
And just imagine their knowledge in medicine, because they're not just doctors or military doctors.
Yeah.
Naval military doctor is a specialist, above
Exactly.
than just a medic, because he have to know how to rescue people from the ship, from the rooms, from the everywhere, like after explosions or fires in the rooms, and especially he have to know how to prepare like operation or like wounded people from this.
To be honest to you,
from the land.
I'm not an expert in the naval operation. I'm interested in collecting uniforms, and I can tell you about what they were wearing and why they were wearing it. But I'm not an expert in the logistic or in the way they had the combat planned.
And this period is.
This is all June 44.
June 44.
Overlord.
So all this room is June 44.
Around.
So that is very impressive. And next room you have.
You can follow me. Here you can see at the left from you, you can see a signal lamp with an operator. You must imagine that on the beaches, they were signaling with flags, but especially with lamps, to the guys on the boats in code. So you can come in, wait for a few minutes, go out. So there was a continuous traveling from the ships to the shore, from the shore to the ships, with equipment, with weapons, with infantry, and the way back with wounded guys. So this is a small diorama. The best diorama is now in Normandy, in the D-Day Experience Museum. This is just a small representation of what was happening on the beaches around 6 June 1944.
And this is also very important because it's like a small detail about like signals, but it's also part of landing operations. So
exactly.
Impressive.
So this guy is operating a signal lamp, and he is signaling from the beach to a ship in Morse code, a message, and you can see he has a book in his hands. This happened from the June 6th until August 44, until the Americans had a fully operational harbor. I have to point out, Alex, this is a representation. Not all the items I show you are actually also worn at D-Day, because D-Day artifacts named are very difficult to find. Here is a very interesting uniform, and I will show it later to you in much more detail on one of my tables. This is a Navy SEAL. It's not a Navy SEAL in person, but what he was wearing is part of the Naval Combat Demolition Unit uniforms they were wearing at the 6th of June. And those units were the ancestors of the nowadays famous Navy SEALs. And this suit, I will tell you later more of. This is actually D-Day worn and impregnated still. Those guys were small units. They were working together with Army engineers, Army Combat Demolition engineers, and they were clearing the beaches, demining the beaches, so the assault waves could come in. The Navy guys, the Naval Combat Demolition units, were the first to hit the beach. They had on Utah Beach casualties, low casualties, but especially on Omaha Beach, they had a casualty rate about 60%.
Oh, yeah.
So they were the first to go in. And they were wearing these gas-impregnated uniforms. Not like this, because he's not wearing a helmet, but this represents the uniform. This one is also a medic. I've shown you before. That guy is wearing the famous denim uniform. And you can see here...
Is it actually denim?
It's denim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And here you can see a whole variety of Navy uniforms. And this is one of my, not naval uniform section, but here you see the Marine Corps. And they're all wearing frogskin uniforms. And not simple uniforms, there's also a paramarine uniform.
It's a Marine Corps paratroopers.
Exactly, Marine Corps paratroopers.
That's very impressive and pretty rare. And on the first footages about landing operation in Japanese islands,
Correct.
We can see Marine Corps and exactly the same camo, right?
Yeah, that's correct. On Tarawa, the first operation after Guadalcanal, they were wearing these kind of frog skin uniforms. And this is especially an interesting jacket because it's a step-in smock and it is a kind of lookalike like a German Fallschirmjäger smock, in my opinion.
And is there a story? Did they copy that smoke, or it was like kind of inspiration or something?
I think this step-in smock, like the Denison smock used by the British airborne forces, was not directly a copy, but was inspired on the German uniforms from the German Fallschirmjäger. And also the camouflage is slightly inspired to the German camouflage. That's my experience.
But anyway, like during wartime, stealing or like copying,
why not?
Yeah,
why not?
technologies, why not?
I only can give you now a short tour, but when I have a friend or another collector here, I can talk for hours about these uniforms because they look alike. These two are the same, but that's a Permarine jacket, and this one is a later uniform, seen from the back, the P44 frog skin set. And this is highly collectible and very difficult to find nowadays. But as I already told you, I started when I was 13, and when I started 4 years ago, this kind of stuff was easier to find than the last 10 to 15 years.
And actually, it's also very cool displayed, and the faces are...
Yeah, well, you have already been at Otto's place. I try to buy good live real mannequins, and that's half of the job, and try to recreate a realistic mannequin by adding a cigarette or an extra pouch, or it don't have to look very strict for me, because in combat the guys are wearing their uniforms loose, and the best way for them to wear it.
And here we can see this jacket closer. So can you show us details?
First, I show you this book I already told about. It's published by D-Day Publishing. The writer is Michel Detresse, together with Tyler Elliott. It's a book about the Navy and especially the beach battalions around D-Day. And I really recommend it to everyone. And what you can see here is a so-called gunner smock or decontamination suit, whatever you can call it. This particular jacket or smock was dyed green and impregnated for the beach battalion units before D-Day. And you can still feel, Alex, that it's sticky of the gas impregnation. It's still smelly.
Yeah.
And although it has been washed and washed again by a previous owner, it is still has that smell of impregnation. And this jacket, my assumption is that it's worn on D-Day by a member of a Naval Combat Demolition Unit or a beach battalion member. And those guys were the ancestors of the Navy SEALs. So I think this is a really special historical jacket.
Yeah, it is really special.
Really special. And there are a lot of pictures in this book. I can show you a few when you're interested. This is another one in the museum in Normandy. Here's the complete suit.
Mm-hmm. How it was before, yeah?
How it was before. Yeah, this set is in the museum in Normandy.
And can you show the cover of this book again? Because this book published like just few weeks ago.
It's published on 6 June.
Yeah.
It was presented on the dawn of 6 June to family members of the 2nd Naval Beach Battalion. And I was this year in Normandy, and as I told you, I already collect from when I was young, and I also found this interesting piece. A lot of people will say, well, what is it? Well, it is a fireman's shirt, jacket. And I bought it at the military show from a man. He was 75, 76, a French man. The military show was in a small building near Saint-Mary-Église. And he was there sitting on a table, and the table was 2 meters, and he had 1 meter, and his friend had another meter. He had some stuff, and also this jacket. And I asked him, well, what's special about this jacket? Well, he said it was of my father. And my father was in the Second World War in the fire department of Saint-Mary-Église. Well, you know, Alex, they always say, buy the item and not the story. But the man told me the story that his father was in the fire, was a firefighter at the evening of the 5th of June. And the 5th of June, there was a fire in Saint-Mary-Église at the place where now the Airborne Museum is. So I bought the jacket for only 25 euros. And the provenance I have is the story of the old man, of his dad, who was wearing this shirt on the evening before D-Day. And I cannot imagine that someone will make up a story and then sell it for 25 euros to a guy from the Netherlands. And I'm very happy with it. It's in my opinion, another interesting historical object to have in a collection.
Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, well, I think everyone knows the movie The Longest Day. In The Longest Day, there's a scene about the fire in Saint-Mary-Église. And the French firemen are helped by the Germans, stopping the fire. And then the planes came over, and the paratroopers are landing above in Normandy and also above that particular village. And one guy hits the church and is hanging on the side of the church on his parachute. And that's a world famous story, event around the night of D-Day. Well, talking about cool items, I was in Normandy, and Normandy, the 80th anniversary, I bought a few items for very small prices from locals. And here you see also an interesting bag. It's still sticky, it's smelly. I bought it for, I think, 25 euros from another old French man, the same as this M2 ammunition bag. I bought it on local fairs, so I encourage every collector to go to Normandy, and you can always find something for small prices, even 80 years after D-Day.
And thanks for sharing, because it's very inspiring.
You're welcome, Alex. And another item in my collection I would like to share with you is this piece.
Oh, wow.
And I bought it from an Air Force guy, his family, and it's in Russian partly.
Yeah.
And
it's yeah, Amerikanец, it's like I am American.
Yeah, exactly. And what a lot of people don't know is that from February to March 1945, there were American fighter pilots and bombers who landed in Russian territory. And they had to prove to the Russians that they were good guys. So they had this, I call it bloodshits, on their necks. So when they had landed or had to jump, they could prove to the Russian soldier, hey, I'm American, take care of me, don't shoot me.
Yes.
There's a scene in the excellent series, or the good series, Masters of the Air, where Buck has landed in Russian territory, and I wish he would have taken this with him. It's not in the movie, but they really existed, and this is one of those who survived the war and is now in my hands and part of my Air Force collection.
It's actually a very interesting historical document. And can you introduce us your Air Force collection?
Yeah, here you see the uniforms they were wearing in 1942 and 1943, especially the guys from the 8th Air Force. Yeah, here we have some mannequins dressed in bomber gear with life jackets, with compass, and all kind of equipment used, goggles and harness. And what is interesting is also flak helmets, all kind of flak helmets I've collected over the years. And this one here, with the guy smiling, this one is an interesting helmet. This one is a normal M1 helmet. I added the straps later. This one is a modified M1 helmet.
Oh, wow.
This is one of the earliest flak helmets made by the Air Force guys themselves.
Wow.
To wear in the bombers against the shrapnel for protection.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
So this is, call it experimental. This is a really interesting M1 helmet made into a flak helmet.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you can see the guy here, and he's wearing a headset, and that's why they made a tool and heated those helmets, and then could
it's good.
adjust it so it fitted over the headset.
That's smart. That's cool.
And this guy is wearing a British-made flak vest.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, the Americans had their own flak vest. It looks like the British one, but it's different. It's different. The details are different. Well, just take a short impression. I not only collect fighter pilot stuff, I also have here an interesting guy, often overseen, the guys who did all the maintenance at airfields.
Oh.
The ground crew.
Ground crew is also very interesting. And he has all tools.
With all kind of tools.
Yeah. And also a group of pilot on that side.
Yeah, bomber crew or pilot, whatever you call it. Later in the war, they switched from the leather, sheepskin, horse-skin, goatskin jackets and equipment to the B-10 jackets, the B-15 jackets, the B-9 parkas, the B-11 parkas. And they switched from brown leather to green.
Yeah.
And here you see all kind of different pants, jackets. This is actually one of the first G pants, so gravity pants. I hope your viewers know what a gravity suit is.
Can you explain?
I can explain it shortly.
Those people, to those people.
I can explain it shortly. When a fighter pilot becomes into high, how do you say, not distance, but high...
Altitude.
No, not altitude, speed, high speed. And he makes a turn, the blood out of his body goes to his legs, so he can faint. He can lose his conscious. So the Americans invented this kind of trousers. Here's an air system, so there's air inside, so the blood is not pumped to your upper body, but stays in your upper body, so the pilot will not faint. Mm-hmm. That's in short the working of a gravity suit.
That's interesting.
And the Americans were the first.
I saw it on Soviet suits, like for jet fighter pilots. Yeah, that's cool.
I have here one. I demonstrate this to students, how it works. And viewers don't laugh, but this is...
And most interesting part for me, I didn't know they use it during World War II. I thought it starts in Korea or...
No, they used it late World War II, from January, February in the ETO and especially in the PTO. So that's what I like to collect, different special items. Like a heating suit. It's not very difficult to buy a bomber jacket, but it's more difficult to find appropriate heating suit. In the bombers, it was at 10 kilometers height, it was very cold.
Oh yeah.
And there were various sorts of electric heated suit. Like this one, this was the first type. It's called the bunny suit. Very difficult to find nowadays. And later on, they used the F3 heating suit. And this one is also interesting. We go from all kind of stuff. But this one is an experimental one. Made by General Electric.
Oh, wow. It's also heating wires?
Yeah, there are wires, copper wires in it. And every plane, every bomber, I have to say, had its own circuit for heating those suits. And they were worn underneath the flight suits.
That's very interesting. It's a part that most people just don't think about.
No, that's correct. And I don't only collect the uniforms, but also I like to have the other stuff. A survival cap, when the pilot landed or crash landed, this would be something to wear. Oh. And when he would be rescued, he would be more visible from above. When the pilot would be nervous, he could take a nip of whiskey.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice. A pilot log. This guy is not a pilot. It's something completely different, but that's for the next episode when you come to Houten again, Alex.
Oh, maybe in August, because
maybe in August.
I'm going to visit Netherlands next time in August, so maybe we can.
Oh, you're always welcome.
Yeah.
I have. Well, this is also interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of my stuff is interesting, but this jacket. Well, you can see to the viewers, this is the Brandenburg Tor.
Yeah.
And here you can see the British, American, Russian and French flag.
That's cool.
And this jacket was post-war made in Germany and hand-painted by an artist. Mm-hmm. And the most exciting part is that it's reversible.
That's cool.
It looks on the green side on a tanker jacket, and this side looks like a Korean War flight jacket. So not World War II, but I found it, I bought it, and I'm very happy with it because I like personalized stuff. I'm still in research what GHG means. So when a viewer knows it, send Alex an email.
Okay.
Or to me personally at Instagram. Dutchy Rose is is me on Instagram, and I would be surprised to have an answer what the letters GHG mean.
By the way, here is Otto here, and Otto, can you show us mannequin that you painted?
Yeah, from Ivo's collection I didn't do too much painting, but this one I painted for Ivo.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Ivo is not ready yet.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Thank you.
Which cigar?
You did a great
He's
job.
Smiling. He's happy to see you.
And you said students are visiting you, so what does it mean?
Well, a few years ago I met a guy who was working in a vintage store in Haarlem, and he studied fashion, designing, and we became friends. And since half a year I have some students from the Fashion Academy Amsterdam and the Denim Academy who come over to my archive. I also have a vintage clothing archive to do research, to take pictures, to look at various garments from the 1940s to the 1960s. My main field of decoration, of collecting is military, and they're interested in those garments.
That's very interesting.
I will show you some pieces.
Oh, it would be nice.
Yeah, you're welcome, Alex. So, Alex, here we are in my showroom with a lot of military jackets between 1940 and 1960. I think 6-7 years ago, I started picking up strange military items, jackets, suits, trousers, and I think now here in this space you could see around 500 jackets. Some German jackets, Bundeswehr, German post-war jacket, but also a lot of interesting camouflage stuff. This is Bulgarian, inspired by the Germans. It looks like kind of splinter camo. And in this showroom, I have contact. I receive students who just want to see stuff, make pictures, as already told you. And here on the table, I have, I think, something interesting for you. All three are 1940 items. All three are naval items. And here you can see a specially made child jacket, peacoat. And here you can see an American peacoat, which was hand embroidered in Shanghai in 1945 for an American naval sailor, excuse me. And in between you have an Kriegsmarine jacket, often referred as the U-boat jacket. But I show you this especially because this jacket has special buttons on it. The sailor had this jacket made for his boy or son, and there are German Kriegsmarine buttons on it.
Maybe he used those buttons that he brought back
Possibly,
from Europe. Actually, there are a lot of stories about using war souvenirs, such as buttons or stones by American veterans.
Yeah.
For example, like my favorite one is a friend of mine. He came to American GI family and he bought a lot of German decoration, like German crosses. And one decoration was, as I remember, it was pilot badge with diamonds, and one diamond or two diamonds has been like missed, and he didn't find it on their like how to call it, like box for jewelry. But after that they found that American veteran used these diamonds for his wife wedding ring. Yeah. that was cool story. Actually they didn't want to sell wedding ring, but they agree to change the diamonds.
Yeah.
So they got better diamonds, and collector got original diamonds from this.
Now talking about German, and not stealing, but here you see something very interesting. A lot of viewers will think, hey, it looks like late war German Leibermuster camo. But in fact, this is not Leibermuster, this is Czech Camouflage, developed early 1950s.
Oh, wow.
It's called Dubaki camo. And the Czech were very technical. They made very interesting uniforms. And here you see a smock. It's reversible. This is called cloud camo. And this is, again, the Dubaki. It looks like Leibermuster, but it is not Leibermuster.
That's very interesting. And
this is very, very collectible. It's unknown in the collecting world. And you cannot imagine, but in Asia, especially in Japan, guys are wearing these outfits as daily streetwear.
Oh, wow. That's cool. And actually there is a good example of connection, like historical pieces and modern, like fashion industry. Actually, I was surprised when I saw in Ralph Lauren store kind of like American jackets, and that is how it.
This is just a simple World War II bomber jacket, but I think nowadays, in a lot of closets of young guys and girls, is a bomber jacket. And it all comes from World War II design. And Ralph Lauren, other brands have their own archives, have guys like me who pick up stuff from military shows, from vintage stores, from thrift stores for the archives to have inspiration for new season lines. Is that the correct word, season? Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So that's cool. And also the same stuff with the parkas. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, here's a simple German 1940s parka. It's reversible. And these kind of parkas are still popular in the the collecting world, but also for students and for designers to look at the pattern and to make their own, not copy, but their own pattern with using of the way this is made.
And you mentioned Asian people also collecting stuff. And
when we were young, we had the scale models, and one of the biggest companies is Tamiya. He's from Japan. And I couldn't believe, but in Japan there are a lot of World War II enthusiastic collectors who collect Luftwaffe stuff, but also Kubik shaker stuff. And they're crazy about pieces like this. This is a cut-down Luftwaffe bomber suit, winter suit. And this is made into a jacket. Well, from my point of view, this is high fashion.
Yeah, that's cool.
With standing collar for when it's cold. Another interesting piece is, I'm crazy of the Marine Corps. This is a shooting jacket from Mr. Fisher, 1950s. And I bought a jacket because I like it. It's very well made, and it's also highly collectible because it's named and the jacket tells a story. It has a patina. It's beautifully made, ready for the shooting range. What's interesting to see that there is not a lot of connection between military collectors and people in the fashion industry. And I try to make a connection between those two pillars to give not only information to the World War II collector, but also to help people who are in fashion school to make progress in their development and inspire them with those, in my experience, beautiful items, rare, unique pieces to interact with them and have a modern version of it, which can hit the market again.
Thank you for sharing this information and for invitation to this archive. I'm really excited to be here at the place with so many different kinds of stuff. And actually, maybe it's interesting to show like real examples of modern like stuff and stuff that inspired
exactly
people. So maybe it's a good idea for next video. Now, thank you guys for watching this video until the end. I think it was something special and something unique. Thank you for this opportunity to see all that stuff, and I'm really enjoyed to being here.
You're always welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys again, and see you real soon.